Did you know that some people will start getting an extra $300 a week from the president's executive order? How long will those funds last? Why is it only $300 instead of the original $400 that you heard about? And why are millions of people excluded from receiving this benefit? We're talking about unemployment today. So if you have questions about where your funds are coming from, when they're coming, we've got answers for you today. Hello everyone, welcome to Ask Abby. My name is Abby and this is our live weekly show where we talk about the hottest topics that often have some difficult answers. So during this crazy COVID time, if you have questions about your finances, unemployment, student loans, debt relief, anything that you might have questions about, please ask me. I will find answers for you. Today, we're continuing our unemployment series because there's some epic changes that some people who need financial assistance need to know about. Right now, there's some serious issues for 31 million Americans who are collecting some sort of unemployment assistance right now. That's true. It's 31 million people are collecting some sort of unemployment assistance. So the first thing we want to talk about today is that executive order. We've mentioned a couple times in the past shows. You've probably heard something about this executive order that the president signed on August 8th that provides some extra unemployment assistance. Now, let's start with the good news, which is that some people will start receiving their checks and those extra funds as soon as this week. In fact, some people may already have received them. People in Arizona, Iowa, and Louisiana, and New Mexico are the first states to have been authorized to receive the extra money. In fact, some Arizonans have already received their checks depending on when that unemployment date was for them this week. So the next states on the list are Colorado, Missouri, and Utah. They're the next ones that are likely to be approved. So we have more good news too, which is that the Arizona governor said that the weekly benefit, that $300 a week, will be retroactive to July 26th, which is the day that the $600 CARES Act benefit expired for Arizonans. So that's a good sign for all states, right? If they all follow that trend, then there's a good chance that the funds will be retroactive for people. So if you had trouble because your $600 a week payment lapsed in July and you had trouble making your April 1st, August 1st funds, you needed those extra funds to meet some of your payments like rent, mortgage, car payments, utility bills, things like that. Good news is that those are likely going to be retroactive. So you should get an even larger check in the coming weeks if your state approves this. Now, here's how it works. Each state has to apply for the extra funds. They're called the Lost Wage Assistance or the LWA. We're going to talk about them as the LWA funds. And those applications have to be submitted by September 10th. For them to be approved. And it's FEMA who's approving these. So they have $44 billion that they have available to help out states who might need to provide extra assistance for their current working employee or unemployed workers. And what's great is as soon as FEMA approves those applications, the funds can become available as soon as the next day. The tricky part is the state still has to come up with some sort of process to deliver those funds. But Arizona has been able to do it, and there are a few other states that are well on their way to doing that. So how much money is it? I hinted at this earlier. You originally heard it was $400 on top of your state's benefits, but it turns out that the federal government's only providing $300 and requiring the state to come up with that extra $100. Most states are too tight on funds. They're not going to be providing that extra $100, but it is $300 on top of your current state's funding. So for example, Arizona's is somewhere around $240, $260. So with that $300, people can expect $540-ish $540 per week. The tricky part is that the extra federal funds, the $300, those only apply to people who are eligible for $100 a week from their state. So if you're not receiving any benefits from your state specifically, you're not eligible for the $300. That's why millions of people are excluded from this, because millions of people have already exhausted all of their state benefits, which would make them ineligible to receive this extra state fund. That's why the states are able to not provide the extra $100, because they're allowed to include that in their current state benefits, and why they're allocating that extra 25%. So we're gonna, if that's you, you've already exhausted all of your state's unemployment benefits, we do have some options for you, so stay tuned. The next question is, if you're eligible, how long will these funds last? There's a lot of caveats to this, but because it's only required that you receive the benefits if you're receiving at least $100 from your state's benefits, right? Which means that if you exhaust all those funds, you're not going to receive anything. That said, let's talk about those extra funds that are available. If you've exhausted normal state funding, most states have on average about 26 weeks of unemployment. There's a CARES Act legislation that requires all states to provide an extra 13 weeks on top of their already existing unemployment benefits. There's also an additional 13 to 20 weeks based on your state. So your state will decide how much of that extra on top of the already usually 26-ish weeks, then 13 more weeks, then an extra 13 to 20 weeks that you can get an extension. That's federal. And then on top of that, there's also the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. That'll allow you to get federally funded assistance for unemployment if you are either self-employed, contracted, or you didn't qualify for your state's unemployment benefits for one reason or another. Now, it has to still be, there are still certain requirements for that PUA assistance. It has to be relative to COVID. You can't just quit your job and file for the unemployment. But if it's COVID related, you were laid off or furloughed, you will qualify for that PUA. Now, ultimately, with all of these assistance programs, you should be able to receive up to 39 total weeks of financial assistance through the variety of these programs. And as long as you're collecting something directly from state, you're also eligible for that $300 a month. If you exhaust all your state benefits and are only collecting through federal funding like the PUA, you won't be eligible for that $300 a month. So definitely check into what your state offers first and see if you're eligible through your state before you opt for the PUA benefits. Now, one more caveat is, how long will these funds last? We need to talk about that, right? So the good news is that the legislation was written so that you will be paid until December 5th. So that's great news. That's a lot longer than the original one. It'll help through the end of the year. And that's dependent on, unless the HEALS Act passes. We talked about the HEALS Act, and I'm going to put in, if you're curious what the HEALS Act is, I'm going to put in the link to our video on the HEALS Act so that you can watch that. It is now in the comment bar. So if the HEALS Act passes, then the rest of the benefits go away. But the HEALS Act, right now, they're talking anywhere between $200 to $400 a month if they can agree on something like that. It could be very similar to this executive order. The other way that these could be, these funds could stop earlier than December 5th is if the $444 billion funding is exhausted. So if all 50 states participate, those funds will be exhausted in 5 weeks. That's not very long. But the good news is that not all states are going to participate. In fact, South Dakota was one of the first ones to come out and say that they don't have a need for these extra funds, which is great news. South Dakota says that their unemployment was never really that bad, and it's gone up significantly since this. 80% of their workers have gone back to work since this all started. So that's great news for South Dakota. It's great news for the states that do need to help their employees, because they will have more funds available for a longer time. But if all of that $44 billion is exhausted, then that relief would end early. There are a lot of unemployment updates out there. So if you have questions about what's going on either in your specific situation or in your state, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can message me on Facebook. You can put a question in the comment bar. You can also email me directly at askabby@creditanddebt.org. One last thing before we log off, and we're going to go to a little bit something more exciting, which is we are launching our brand new platform this month. So we're inviting you to test it out for free. And if you test it out and contact me or go to the website and contact the support team, you are eligible for a $5 gift card to Amazon. So if you message me, or I'll put a link in the comment bar after we're done here for you to go sign up, use that link, and you will receive a $5 Amazon gift certificate sent to your email. We want to know if you like it. We want to know if you have any issues. We want to know your feedback. So if you sign up, you'll get $5 of a gift certificate if you for this week. So if you sign up this week, we'll give you a $5 gift certificate, and then we'd love to hear your thoughts. So reach out to us about a survey. We'll make sure that you have the opportunity to give us your feedback there as well. The platform, the sneak peek to the platform is awesome because it's completely functional. You'll get access to all of our budgeting tools. You can sync your bank account, so it gives you a new, fresh look into your finances. It'll help you with your debt. If you have a lot of debt, you can see what it would cost, what it would mean to pay off that debt early. How much money would you save? And lastly, you get customized recommendations and budgeting tips. So please check out that link. I'll put it in at the end of the show. That's it for today, you guys. So please let me know if you have any hard questions for me. I'm happy to do the research, do the digging, and get you those answers. Hit that share button and punch that like button, because if you do, more people will see this video and will benefit. Plus, you'll benefit because you'll get to see more of our videos in the future. That's it, you guys. If you really want to see more of it, that's the way to do it. Hit that like button, hit that share button. Thank you again for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week on Ask Abby.